now tuned into the greatest.
Peace up, A-Town.
This is it. Allow me to reintroduce myself.
All right, everybody. Welcome to season 3 of the Konversation with Khalif. I am so excited to start this season off with talking about pronouns, non-binary. Let me take this jewelry off and turn the phone off. All right, so we've got that in order. So I'm just going to start today's episode off by saying this. 9 times out of 10, you are here because someone who is non-binary, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your sibling, or what have you, said to you, click this because I don't want to have to explain my identity to you. Or I told you to do the same thing. So how you do it? Welcome. And thank you for actually taking the time to listen today. I really appreciate you just for taking that initiative and doing this research journey with us today. Now, I've got a couple of guests coming in, not a couple, like 3, a throuple of guests coming in today. And I'm really excited for you to hear what they have to say because we are all frustrated with the rest of society who doesn't know about pronouns. When I enter any space, the first thing I say to introduce myself is, "Hi, my name is Khalif, like a leaf on a tree, and my pronouns are they and them." Now, if that just threw you off, if it really made you go, "What in the world are you talking about?" Don't worry, you are in the right place today. Today's episode is meant to be an educational tool and resource for people in the LGBTQ plus community, as well as our cisgendered friends and allies. I can't tell you how many times I've introduced myself to people and then I've had to do a ton of educational and mental labor to educate people so that I feel respected within a given space. So today's episode is the last time, I repeat, the last time that I and many of my gender non-conforming, non-binary, and trans-identified family members will have to go about doing that work. Today we'll cover what are pronouns, why they matter, and how to use them. So be sure to take some notes or rewind if you get confused at any time during this episode and you miss anything. Let's get started. First and foremost, what are gender pronouns? Well, we use gender pronouns all the time, and we use it more than we actually realize it to refer to people. Some common examples being he and she, as in, what's his name, or what did she say? But oftentimes, when we are referring to a person whose gender we do not know, we use the pronouns they and them. These are gender neutral pronouns. For example, someone might say, "Have you seen Sam? Have you seen them?" Or, "Where are they? Have you seen them today?" In this instance, we use what is typically thought to be a plural pronoun as a singular pronoun to describe one person. Later on in today's show, a group of my non-binary friends will be here to help you further understand they-them pronouns. Now you may be asking, well, why do pronouns even matter? Well, I'm glad you asked. Using someone's correct pronouns lets them know that you respect their humanity and you acknowledge how that individual shows up in the world. When you use the incorrect pronouns to address someone who has already informed you of their pronouns, especially intentionally, you are essentially saying to them that you know more about who that person is and how they show up in the world, when most of the time, you've never met them before and this is your first time meeting them, so you don't know anything about them, or that person may be informing you of their pronouns for the first time. Please note that it is never okay to use the wrong pronouns when addressing or referring to someone, especially in anger. You may get a pass for accidentally using the wrong pronouns for a person, but just make sure you apologize when they either correct you or you correct yourself. Purposely misgendering someone of the trans experience or non-binary gender non-conforming experience is just wrong, and it is deeply rooted in transphobia, trans negativity, and just makes you an all-around asshole. So make sure you use the correct pronouns. Now, the next question that I get a lot is, well, how am I supposed to know somebody's pronouns if I'm just meeting them? Well, here's a good little golden nugget that you can use so that you don't go around misgendering everyone. What I do is I say, when I enter a space, like I said earlier in today's conversation, I said, the first thing I do is say, "Hi, my name is Khalif, like a leaf on a tree, and my pronouns are they and them." Me telling a group of people or anyone what my pronouns are beforehand prevents me from getting misgendered, one. And it also says to anyone else in the space that no matter what your pronouns are, no matter how you choose to identify, I'm not going to assume who you are and your life story and your experiences based off of how I believe you look, based off of how I believe you may perform masculinity or femininity, because gender is such a performative social construct, and that's just a fact. Now, I know that was a lot of information. I hope you got it all. If you didn't, do not worry. I have you covered. Do not worry. Coming up after this quick break, I'm going to have some of my non-binary friends come, and we're going to just dive into this conversation today and really discuss the nuances about non-binary, they, them pronouns and things of that nature. So do not go anywhere. Keep it locked right here on The Konversation. You're listening to The Konversation with Khalid. All right, we don't really do commercials over here. That would be so annoying. Like, who sits up and says, oh my gosh, did you hear the conversation today? No, girl, but did you hear the commercials? No, that's not fun. But we are having a very exciting episode today, a very informative episode, and I want to thank you all for listening to the weekly show dedicated to helping you look, feel, and be your best self. Today we have 3 very special guests with us via Zoom, and we are all going to be talking about being non-binary and gender pronouns. So I would just like to welcome all 3 of my guests. We have Lex Thompson, we have Alexandria, and we have Rory. Woo-hoo. All right. So calm down. So if I could just have the 3 of you introduce yourselves and tell everyone what your pronouns are. Who wants to go first?
I'm to the right of you, I think. I'll just go. Okay, my name's Alexandria. My pronouns are she and they. I'm done speaking.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Lex Thompson, 22, from South Jersey, activist, organizer, all of the things. And my pronouns are they, them. I identify as a non-binary femme. Thank you.
Rory. Pronouns are they, them, he, boy, nigga, daddy. Writer, teacher, dance instructor, student, learner, unlearner. Well done.
Those hats.
I'm speaking.
All right. So pretty much today's episode. Well, this is season 3, and
Season 3 is my life cast member. This is right on time, Khalid.
Right.
Oh,
Look at
that.
This episode came out of frustration because I'm so dang on tired of having like educate people everywhere I go about what pronouns mean and this, that, and the third. So like I had a whole dialogue before this segment about just explaining to people what it is and like how it operates. And you know, people, I was talking to this Negro last night, this Negro, and he was like, I don't do all that. I'm just a nigga. I was like,
I'm done.
Please.
nigga,
What
you
does
already lost me.
I don't do that. I'm just a nigga.
What
Right?
does that mean in regards to pronouns?
I
Like,
don't
Because
get it.
niggas don't know grammar. Like niggas did not pay attention in English. Okay, so they don't know what it means when we say pronouns. They think they assume it with queer folk, and then they're like, okay, because we assume it with queer folk, that's what we mean when we say we're not about that shit. But nigga, you use pronouns. Me calling you a nigga in the context of this conversation is me using pronouns, nigga. So what do you mean?
Nigga, what you mean?
it's frustrating having to constantly explain pronouns to folks because it's just like, what do you mean you don't understand pronouns or your pronouns for that matter? That's what really be making me mad. How don't you know your own pronouns? They'd be like,
what makes me upset?
I don't know.
What makes me upset is when you. Oh, I just cut you off. My bad. My ADHD brain. My bad. Forgive me.
No, you're fine.
We both neurodivergent over here. We on the same.
Okay.
We all on the same wavelength here. You already know how that go.
No, but I was saying like even I don't mind explaining it because I know everyone doesn't have access to like the information that I know. But then when you take the time to explain it and they're kind of like, oh, like that's not something I do. What do you mean that's not something you do? It's really simple. This is just a way to show individuals that you are like a safe individual, that you are an affirming individual, that you are an inclusive individual. It's really not that difficult at all. It's not difficult. It's really that simple.
It's really that simple, and everybody makes it like it's the hardest thing ever. Like it's so complex. It's just like, why do you think gender is so complex? Like I'm confused. Like you're you, I'm me, they're them, and that's just
Right.
that. Like why are you so frustrated that your pronouns are she, her, or he, him? Especially when it's really specifically with cisgender folk. It's like, why are you so frustrated about that? Like, y'all are the norm, quote
Mhm.
unquote. So it's just like,
That's
why are you
why, because
frustrated
they're
that you're
feeling
the norm?
othered.
They
They're
feel
feeling
other.
othered now. That's
Exactly.
why it's like white people when they try to talk about reverse racism, but it doesn't make sense. It's not, it's just their privilege. They're just so used to being privileged that it's like, this feels a little, I'm feeling a little bit othered, but they're really not feeling being othered. They're just being ridiculous, actually.
Like, I'm not
You
at
know
the center
what?
of attention.
Pretty
Right.
much.
And you know what gets me? Because I always give this example in every room I'm in. And it only was debated once. And when I used it, well, somebody else used it in the room that I was in yesterday. That was very violent. But I was like, you used they, them already. And it's very easy to say that you don't realize how much language you use that is inclusive because you're too busy thinking it's some gay shit, right? But like we use they, them in conversation, like, oh, where is Rari? Oh, they are over there. Oh, whose bag is that? Oh, that's their bag. Somebody broke into my car. Oh yeah, they some motherfuckers. Like you already use this inclusive ass language. You just don't want to use it for us. And that's really what it is. Because like you can't say that shit with your chest. Now it's all of a sudden it's some gay shit or it's I don't do this. No, you literally speak like this every freaking day to your auntie, to your uncle, to your cousins and them, to your boss. Like you already speak like this. So stop doing that. Call a spade and stop wasting my fucking time.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the assuming the gender for me. Like it's
Mm.
assuming gender when you look at somebody for this for the simple fact that there's the stereotypes of how certain genders are supposed to look. But even with your example, when let's say for instance somebody lost their wallet, a lot of us will be like, oh my gosh, because you don't know the gender of that person. Oh, somebody lost their wallet. I hope they come back to get it. So take that same concept, even when you are looking at somebody and they may have particular features, take that same concept and be like, oh, I don't want to assume anybody's gender. So you can automatically default to they, them to be inclusive and not be offensive. Or you can sit up there and you could actually ask like, hey, I just wanted to know what your pronouns are so I don't misgender you. Like those things are actually good ways to be more inclusive and not, assume somebody's gender or aggressively misgender them. Because child, the way that cis folk aggressively misgender people drives me insane. This whole weekend I was getting misgendered. I said, you know what? At this point, am I really non-binary?
Right. It does
Am I
make you
really
questioning
non-binary?
yourself. Like I
It's
remember, like, does anyone else remember like when they first came into the theys and the thems? Like how, like when was the first time you actually heard about gender non-binary or gender non-conforming people, and like how did you transition into that? Because I remember with my friend, they're not here, Jamad. I was like, I was one of those who was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, it was so nuanced and new to me at the point. Now it's normal shit. And that's the thing that I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, the thing is, no one's trying to force this down your throat or that. It's just trying to make it where it's like, this has already been normal shit. So can you just be normal in this shit with me? Type of thing. But do you remember when you first started your non-binary journey? Because I feel like it is a journey.
high school. But I already, like, as a kid, already felt very much like, and I mean, it's a common thing, especially with Black bodies and then Black, like, kids you get mistaken for a boy or a girl or vice versa. When you're in the store, you're just minding your business, trying to touch the gum in the aisle when you're not supposed to. And somebody's like, oh, you cute little boy. And that's happened to me a lot in my childhood. And like, I never had an issue with it. And then like, I don't know, I just felt very much more than a girl, very much more than like a she or her, but I couldn't really place it. And trigger warning, like, when talking about like gender dysphoria, like I was feeling these feelings, but I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what to name them. And I didn't really have the access to resources for queer people, especially Black queer people, for me to even get the language. So it wasn't until like high school, maybe sophomore, junior year, I think it was like junior year, where that was like Tumblr was like the shit back at that time. And there was this one non-binary, well, the term back then was like genderqueer. Everybody was using genderqueer. And so I heard the term and I was just like, what is that? And they were like, oh, my pronouns are they, them. And I'm like, I like that. And then I went to the center. It's like a center in New York in the city, by FIT. And I got some pamphlets. I got some resources. I looked more into it. And I was like, this really feels like home, if you will. So I was like, yeah, I really fuck with this. And then once I found out what genderqueer meant, and pronouns, and that like you can literally name how you want people to address you, and like just the idea of autonomy, especially for like queer folk, was like important for me. And so like that's when I was like, yeah, I like it, they them. But it also led to like my first like whack ass experience in that, which like made me suppress my transness and my non-binariness for like years to come. Because like it was this white girl that I was friends with, which that was already a mistake being friends with a white girl, but whatever. I said what I said. And I was like, hey, I'm genderqueer. And she was like, what does that mean? And I told her what it meant. And then she was like, okay, so like you mentioned pronouns. What is that? What is that? And I was like, oh, my pronouns are they, them. And she was like, that's not grammatically correct. And I was like, well, actually, it is. And she was like, well, actually, no, because like they is like plural. So it's just like, why, how can you like address that to yourself? And I stared at her for a very long time. And then I walked away. And then I cried about it when I got home. And then I suppressed it. And it led to a lot of like issues like with my dysphoria and like with my gender or lack thereof, and just identifying myself, and even like the fluidity and identifying the fluidity within like feminine to masculine like energy and like presenting I had within myself that like I suppressed. So yeah, that was my experience. But now I am who I am. And fuck that white bitch Jules. I said what I said. And
Call her
I
out.
wondered like what your experience would have been if it was not a white girl named Jules. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just wonder.
but yeah, that was mine.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard it, I think it was my friend Jamad. Shout out to you, Jamad, because I know you're listening. And then I heard it from my therapist. And when they said it to me, I was like, I was having a gender orgasm. Like, I was like, I have to have this.
A gender orgasm. Wow.
I think it's a new word. I just came up with it.
Orgasm. I like that.
They were like, so pretty much I no longer, this was after they had a baby. They were like, I don't feel like I should be boxed into this gender norms and this, that, and that. And the way they described it to me, I was just like, give me some. I want some of that. Like, cause it was so ooey and gooey to me. And at the time, it was really hard for me to just like not say he or she to people when I heard the pronouns were they or them. But like, generally, we are some forgiving motherfuckers. Like, if you fuck up our pronouns,
that's true,
and you recorrect yourself. Now, if you just don't he, ha ha all day, that ain't cool with nobody. Okay, like
I'm done.
It was just like the fact that people try is like, it's very cute. I love it. Like, you could be like, I'm sorry. I mean that, like, okay. You don't have to feel like I'm about to cut your neck off. I know you trying. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right? Like we give grace, but I don't know. I personally, as far as like me and my experience, like I feel like I've always been non-binary. It's just that I got pushed into a binary because of my physical uh features, my anatomical like features and stuff like that. It was just basically when I was a kid, I didn't like all of the things that the little girls around my age liked. I didn't really like doing that. I had a lot of more so masculine energy. And unfortunately, trauma. I'm out here running with the boys and stuff, and I'm scraping my knees, and I'm wearing shorts instead of dresses, and like it was just like, okay, like I'm just out here being with the boys, but I really didn't think about my gender like that. So when it started becoming, oh, like girls don't do that, ladies don't do that, and I was just like, well, I'm not a lady, I'm not a girl, but I'm not a boy neither. And so it was just kind of one of those things where I've always been non-binary, but it wasn't really it just wasn't encouraged. So I just got pushed into womanhood, girlhood, and shit like that. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I noticed that gender in and of itself is like a social construct that like I'm not going to say white people made it, but definitely capitalism plays a part in that with like, gender and how we treat certain bodies and stuff like that and how we treat certain genders and things. And I didn't like any of it. And my identity has never been a part of the binary. And when I got introduced to non-binariness, was literally, I think last year. Last year is when I got introduced into they them pronouns, non-binary identities. And I'm like, oh my gosh. This is what I've been trying to express to everybody for the last 22 fucking years. Like, please, like, and then so I started doing she and they, and then I went to they and she, and then I was like, she just never has fit me. So therefore, I don't give a fuck how long you know me. Please drop the she pronouns because it's not it. I do give grace because I would be, I guess, quote unquote trigger warning, cis passing, but I don't identify as that. So it's kind of like, okay, I'll let you slide, but just don't overdo it. Because if you overdo it, I'm going to think this is on purpose. And if this is on purpose, now we have a problem because you're not respecting my identity. So even with my friends and my family, I'm still trying to get them accustomed to they, them pronouns and stuff like that, and have them understand that capitalism, religion, a lot of things go into why people push people into this binary, a cis binary at that. So that's just my little journey, and I'm still getting accustomed to using they them pronouns even for myself. So like, because everybody keeps using she, and I'm just like, it's not she. But then when I talk about myself, I'm like, when I talk about myself in third person, I say she pronouns, but then I'll switch it and I'll say they, because it's just like I have to reinforce my own gender so that nobody can take my identity away from me, So that's my little journey with it.
But that's so ridiculous that has to be done, if you ask me.
It is. It's frustrating, and it's kind of just like, I know who I am. And I'm tired of people like trying to make me something that I'm not based on their own morals and beliefs that clearly don't align with mine. And it's just like, even if it doesn't align, there's a simple thing called respect. Especially when you're gender queer, gender non-conforming, non-binary, and even if you want to throw the whole sexual orientation aspect into it, just being queer in general or whatever you want to label yourself as, it's a matter of like, I don't need your acceptance, I don't need your tolerance. What I need is your respect, because I don't even need your validation, because at the end of the day, I am who I am, and because I exist on this earth with you,
Yeah.
coinciding with you,
Mm-hmm.
the universe already reinforced who I am. The universe already made me who I was or who I am. So with that being said, I don't need your validation. I don't need your acceptance. I don't need your tolerance. What I need is your respect and your respect only. I don't give a damn what your morals and beliefs are. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care about none of that. What I do care about is you respecting me as a human being, because regardless of our differences and identities, I still respect you. So that means you owe me that in return. So
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Lex. I think that is a perfect, wonderful point to leave everyone with. And I just want to thank y'all so much for coming on. I have to wrap up because Zoom is giving us this notification saying you got to get off of Zoom. Otherwise, we're going to shut you down. But we got a lot of good stuff out of this conversation. And even though I didn't have everything ironed out details, I knew y'all would have my back. And we got it popping and like popcorn, you know. Now hopefully something stuck in somebody's teeth. You see what I did there? But thank y'all so much. Oh my gosh, thank y'all. Hi, I'm Beyonce. No, thank y'all so much for being on my show. This is season 3.
You, Khalif, on a Sunday.
You know, we zipping and zooming it out here in
season 3.
Season who? Uno, dos, tres. Okay.
Period, friend.
I just want all of y'all to plug your social media and stuff, your social security, whatever you feel. Just so people know, because these are some amazing people to know, follow, get on Clubhouse and listen to the rooms and whatnot. So I guess give your Clubhouse name and your social media handle.
All right, so this is Alexandria. My Instagram is as told by Alexandria. My Clubhouse name is Told by Alexandria. So TLDBYALEXANDRIA.
Well, this is Lex Thompson. You already know what the fuck going on. But my Instagram is at her Tommy Gun __. My Twitter is at her Tommy Gun. And my Clubhouse is at her Tommy Gun. So follow me on all of the things. Thank you.
Oh, listen a minute. So much pressure. Okay, Rari. Rari RRARI __ on Instagram. Rari Terry is Rari, the same thing I just spelled with Terry TERRY on Clubhouse, and then Mr. Bitches _1 for my Twitter. Thank you so much for the space.
Hey, thank y'all.
Thank you, Khalid. This was beautiful.
Absolutely.
We have less than a minute.
We did it, Joe. All right, y'all. I will talk with y'all
All right, see you later.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning into season 3, the first episode of season 3 of The Konversation with Khalif. I am so excited for what we have planned this season. This season is going to be like no other season you have heard. I can't believe we're already here at season 3. It feels like just yesterday I was starting out with my little first show and everything, but thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. We are on, I'm on Twitter now. Finally, a lot has changed since last season. My Twitter is they them Khalif. That's they them KALEAF. And you can find us on Instagram at The Konversation Podcast. That's The Konversation spelled with a K instead of a C podcast. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.